Everybody says you can't come to Pai without hiring a scooter, but in this video we're putting that theory to the test and we're going to see how much of this beautiful region we can see without a scooter.
Now you might be wondering, why wouldn't we just hire a scooter? It's the easiest method, it is by far the cheapest method to explore Pai, but you know what, there are a few reasons. One, we're big chickens. We've never ridden a scooter or a motorbike and we don't really see why we should do that for the first time in a foreign country. Number two, our travel insurance would definitely not cover us if we were in an accident. I think that's the case with everyone, but we left our jobs to travel full time, so we're not really in a financial position to test that theory. And number three, when we googled how to get around Pai without a scooter, there was really not a lot of information out there, so we really wanted to put this video together to show you that it is possible to explore Pai well without a scooter. So today we're doing a 5-hour private tour to see how much of Pai we can explore. First stop of our tour, we've come to, I think it's called the Big Buddha on the hill, or also kind of known as the White Buddha. It's a big Buddha, you can actually see it from Pai town. If you look up into the mountains, you can see the little white, well, it looks little, but it's actually a big white Buddha. It is at 353 steps to get up to that white Buddha. And once you get up the top, apparently there are amazing views back down onto Pai. So we're gonna get climbing. It's only 9:10, so it's still nice and cool this morning. So perfect time to climb some steps. It's a way to start the morning. As you can see, we've made it to the top, 353 stairs later. It's actually pretty quick getting up to the top, but it's absolutely beautiful up here. The big white Buddha behind us is stunning, and then the views back out onto Pai are incredible as well. The stairs are very picturesque as well, great photo spot on the way up, all the way down, but definitely a doable. And a really great thing about this place as well, if you don't have a scooter, is that it's actually meant to be a really nice walk from town. So people do come here on a bit of a walk, make their way up the stairs and then walk back to town as well. So you don't necessarily need a scooter or even a car. Another thing to note as well is, similar to other temples here in Thailand, you will need to dress appropriately, so shoulders covered, knees covered. If you are a female, I'm not sure if there are any restrictions for males, but I do know females, shoulders covered, knees covered, to come here even though it is an outdoor temple.
But now it's time to say goodbye to the White Buddha and move on to our next spot, and I don't know what I'm going to do if it's as nice as this one, because we've really started with a bang. This is a really cool spot and somewhere I think you have to come visit if you're coming to Pai. We've now come way further up into the mountains, and I think we are more glad than ever that we did not hire scooters, because it was like this. I don't think we would have been able to get up the hill, especially I'm a very nervous driver. I like to go slow, and hills are not compatible, so very glad we had a car. But I believe we've come to Pai Viewpoint, and I can already see part of the view and it looks pretty spectacular. Now, while we have paid for our driver and the tour itself, there are a couple stops on the tour that you do have to pay entrance to, and this is one of them. It was 20 baht per person to get in, so probably less than $1. But worth noting, if you do book a full day group tour, they will sometimes include all your entrance fees, but definitely worth checking when you do book a tour. And there's a dog. Hi.
As I mentioned, there is not a lot of information out there about how to explore Pai without a scooter. When you Google how to get around Pai without a scooter, you pretty much get the same few responses. One is just hire the scooter, it's easiest. Number two is don't come to Pai if you don't have a scooter. And number three is that Pai is super walkable, so you don't even need a scooter. Now, yes, the town of Pai is super walkable. It's a very quaint little town, absolutely beautiful and 100% walkable. However, Pai is known for its beautiful natural landscapes, and half the draw to visit Pai is to go out and visit those landscapes
landscapes. So you definitely do need some sort of transport to get out of town and see some of those things like the beautiful waterfalls and viewpoints. Now, as I said, not a lot of information. I have heard that you can hire like a group taxi, however, I've not really seen those around town. There are a few people up on the walking street holding signs saying taxi, so that is also an option. However, I have read stories about people getting dropped to, say, Pai Canyon, and then they don't have a way to get back down. So that is a consideration. But up and down Walking Street, there are heaps of different tour companies and they all offer the exact same thing. It's a 300 baht half-day tour, all the same spots. Now, that is one option. The other option is what we're doing, which is a private tour. So we looked at the half-day tour and thought there are some spots we want to visit, some spots we don't. Plus, because we are filming, we might take longer at certain spots than we would at others, and then other people would want to spend at those spots. So we asked her how long you roughly are at each spot, and she told us, and we ended up deciding to book the private tour so we'd have additional flexibility. Now, as I said, the half-day tour, 300 baht per person. We have booked the private tour, just the two of us, and it was 1200 baht. So it is double the price. So we'll see today if it was worth the private tour, and we'll let you know, but definitely a good option to get around Pai without a car or a scooter, and not a lot of information on the internet.
So this viewpoint is this like elevated grass area, and underneath it looks like you can do camping too, but it's also surrounded by this thin moat, and I've just realized that it's full of fish, big fish, little fish. So I mean, obviously I'm very easily entertained, but they're poking their little mouths out of the water and it looks like they're trying to breathe. I know the fish don't breathe, but it looks like that's what it looks like they're doing. So if the view isn't enough reason to come, the fish certainly are. As well as that, there's also a cafe up here where you can get a drink and then sit down and take in the view. So plenty of reasons to make this a stop on your tour if that's what you decide to do, or however you're getting around Pai. I think it's worth coming up here to see these views and the fish. Don't forget the fish.
As we mentioned earlier, some of these spots are walkable to some. They are a couple hours walk. Some of the waterfalls are full day treks, so you'd obviously have to plan for that. But from speaking to people at our accommodation, they mentioned that this viewpoint is one of the places that is definitely not walkable, so you definitely will need a scooter or to be a part of some sort of tour to get up here.
But with that said, there is so much to see here in Pai, so we're already off to our next stop.
We have now come to Santichon Village, or it's otherwise known as the Chinese Village, which is a bit of a tourist attraction here just outside of Pai. Now, the history is that people from Yunnan in China fled to northern Thailand back in the day, and they set up at these small traditional villages. Now, Santichon Village is a bit more of a tourist attraction. I'm not sure if the Yunnan people still live like this. Might be worth a Google, but this is set up to give a bit of insight into the traditional cultures. There's food you can try, there are different activities, there's traditional dress, traditional food, so it's pretty cool and a nice way to get a bit of insight into their culture.
And there are plenty of different activities you can do here in the village. You can do archery, you can try on traditional dress, you can even do what looks to be like a manual Ferris wheel type thing.
Who knew I had a manual Ferris wheel on my 2024 bingo card? Oh my god, this is terrifying. Nice view though.
2 รอบปั๊บนี่ย้อนหลังเหรอเนี่ย
So let's switch direction, we're going forwards now and it's terrifying.
ชะลอแล้ว
See you back at the accommodation.
I might not be game enough to drive a scooter, but I sure as hell am game enough to ride a manual Ferris wheel.
They have big fish here too. More fish. Arrived at our next stop. As you can see, we are at Paeng Waterfall. It's a pretty cool spot. They tell you to bring your bathers, so we did. We might take a little dip. Alright guys, I'm not going in because I ruptured my eardrum the other day, and that's the only reason why I'm not going in. I'm not going in because it's really cold. I did hurt my ear the other day, but that's irrelevant. It's too cold for me. Stace is taking one for the team. So make sure you like the video to give Stace your support and comment, go Stace, because she deserves it.
I was determined to swim today, but I've just put my feet in and it is so cold. It's definitely very kind of shaded here, I guess from the surrounding trees and stuff. So it kind of makes sense that the water's not that warm. I was feeling pretty hot when we left the Chinese village, so I was like, yeah, definitely swimming, but it's chilly. Update, I'm losing feeling with my feet. It is very cold. It's like ice water. This little chicken won't even try. Look at her up there, fully clothed. I think she's so good. Made me go on the manual Ferris wheel and now making me test the water out. I'm fully wet. I went all the way in. My hair is wet. Did the whole lot. Went under, you know.
Me too.
At least I tried. It's super relaxing and tranquil here. This is definitely a spot you could come for a few hours, read a book, lie out. Just so peaceful. All you can hear is the water of the waterfall. Obviously, if it were a bit warmer and the water was a bit warmer, we'd 100% be spending some time swimming in that pool at the bottom. But just very relaxing, and this is what Pai is meant to be all about. Beautiful nature, beautiful natural landscapes. So I'm very glad we got to come to at least one waterfall during our time here in Pai.
As they said, it's so peaceful here. There are so many different beautiful coloured butterflies. It's just heaps of different butterflies that are landing pretty close to us. It just kind of adds to the whole atmosphere. It really does. Once you walk through the Super Mario Brothers pipes, it really is like you're kind of in the wilderness here with the butterflies, the trees, the waterfall sounds. It's definitely a really nice place to come to in Pai. And if you're lucky and the water is full enough and people have wet the rocks, a few people are pretty brave and are going down a makeshift slide. Stace and I, definitely not happening today, but it is an option. It is now time for us to leave this lovely waterfall and head to our next stop.
Our next stop is a little bit more unusual. We've actually made a bit of a coffee stop here, Coffee and Love. Now this is on all the half-day tours. We don't really know what it is, but we're presuming now that we're here that it's because it's this beautiful coffee shop in the mountains that has a really incredible view out onto Pai. So we're going to grab a quick drink before we head on to our next stop.
We didn't really know what to expect from this stop. In fact, we kind of considered skipping it, but I'm really glad that we didn't because it has such great views and it's really cute and peaceful. It's like a coffee hut up in the mountains with cats that wear basketball jerseys and plenty of different seating places, each with their own amazing view. And they have frappuccinos here, and that is something that Stace and I have been craving in this heat, so what's not to like? Frappuccino? And if you do make it to Coffee in Love, I have a weird request. I ask that you go to the bathrooms because they are the coolest bathrooms I've been to. You get your own little zen garden in your like cubicle thing, so that you gotta do. You gotta go to the loo. Okay, I'm so glad that we actually came to Coffee in Love. It is not a skippable stop at all. There are so many little cool, like quirky things that you can find here. We've got an I am Pai sign, like the I am Amsterdam one. Speaking of Amsterdam, we went there. It was one of the first stops in this year-long travel journey. If you'd like to see it, we'll link those videos up there. But yeah, there's so many cool spots to sit, so many cool places to take pictures. So I really like this place. It's a cool stop, but it is time for us to leave and head to our final stop of the day.
We've now come to the Bamboo Bridge, which is this incredible, massive bamboo bridge.
Wow!
That goes over the rice fields here in the mountains. It's meant to be especially cool if you do come during the wet season, which I think is like May to November-ish, definitely not now, because the rice is like fully grown, so it's so luscious and green all around you. But we're gonna wander along the bridge and just have a look around. I also forgot to mention it was a 30 baht entry here to the Bamboo Bridge, and back at the waterfall it was 100 baht each, but the Chinese village no entry fee and the White Buddha had no entry fee. Obviously hiring a scooter or a bike does give you a lot more freedom to go at your own pace or spread things out across multiple days, so it definitely is a good option if you are comfortable. But in saying that, if you are hesitant like us to jump on a scooter or a bike, don't let that stop you from coming to Pai, because we've had the best day exploring all of these sites. It's been super easy. We've been able to go at our own pace. with our tour we knew we had 5 hours, so we've kind of been able to pick and choose which ones we'd rather spend longer at, which ones we'd rather skip over, and so we really feel like we've had a lot of flexibility in our day, which has been great. If you are picking between doing the group tour or the private tour, obviously if you're someone who just wants to hop out and take a picture, you're done. Group tour will be fine, and if we weren't filming and doing stuff like that, that would have been fine for us, but we like being able to take a bit longer at each of these spots, and based on people who've travelled with us over the last 7 months, we know we take a lot longer than most people, so private tour worked really well for us. The other thing that factored into our decision was that most of the half-day tours leave at 1 PM and come back at sunset, but as a private tour we got to pick what time we wanted to head out, so we picked to leave at 9 AM this morning. It would be so cool to see this in winter because I've seen photos and it's so luscious and green and it's really tall around you. Like, this is super cool as is, but imagine just luscious green rice fields all around. Maybe we have to come back in winter, I don't know, maybe. We do love Pai, so maybe we'll be back in winter. When we were making the decision whether or not to use the scooter, and then once we decided not to use the scooter, we had a really hard time working out what tour company to go with because there's really no information, and if you do search tours in Pai, not a lot comes up on the internet, and a lot of what does come up is tipsy tubing, which we are not doing. So to let you know, we went with AYA Tours. Now if you go down the walking street in Pai, there's a whole bunch of tour companies and they all quote the same prices, so take your pick. We went with AYA because they had the most reviews, so it seemed to be the company used the most, but I believe that what they are known for is they have a place in Chiang Mai as well, so a lot of people use them if they are travelling by bike between Chiang Mai and Pai, so that way they can hire the bike from the one company and return it to the same company, so it makes it a lot easier. But we've had a great day. I mean, it's not so much as a tour, it's kind of just like having a private driver, but that works really well for us because we kind of like to have our own space because we are filming. So if you are someone who just likes to get dropped somewhere and go explore, it's been a really great day. There's even here this really cool, if you see behind me this red thing, it's like this seat that you sit on and take really cool photos like you're floating out on top of the rice fields. Rosh came up to take a photo of me and kind of ran back down a little too fast, turned over her whole ankle, so she's limping a little bit now. It literally bent in half, but
It inverted.
it inverted, yeah. But we're gonna walk out a little bit further and then we'll head back because I think we might even squish in one more spot if we're lucky. Don't mind me just out of breath again. But we've come to our final stop of the day, Pai Canyon. Now most people come here for sunset, it's meant to be pretty incredible up here. But we're here about mid-afternoon. But it's pretty beautiful up here, definitely like a baby canyon, but still really cool.
It's pretty cool up here. There's lots of narrow bits of the canyon that you can kind of use as a path to walk along. There are drop-offs, so if you guys have been following us for a while, you'll know that we're both really afraid of heights. Me in particular. I hate it.
You're not even looking.
I'm not ever gonna look.
We've come up the lift. I'm now walking up the stairs to the actual summit. So when you come out of the lift, it's all glass and enclosed.
So we're taking it pretty easy. I'm afraid. But as Stay said, it's definitely a very popular place to come to for sunset.
So the verdict is in, are you able to explore Pai without hiring a scooter? And our answer is a definite yes. We've had such an amazing day. We got to see so many different sites in Pai and the surrounding areas. Doing a private tour was a great experience, but I imagine getting to see all those spots on a group tour would be just as cool as well. As long as you're willing to pay a bit extra, as it does cost more than hiring a bike, but definitely still come to Pai even if you're hesitant to ride a scooter. We hope you enjoyed our video, but that is all for our time here in Pai. Tomorrow we're off to our next city, so we'll see you in the next video.